The message from West Ham United is abundantly clear. If a player is to be sold, the buying club is going to have to either put up or shut up. West Ham value Mateus Fernandes at £85 million and Crysencio Summerville at £45 million. The combined total of £130 million with a cash injection from Kretinsky will almost wipe out all the debt that West Ham United currently have, which would make it even easier to keep the likes of Jared Bowen, Thomas Soucek, Dinos, amongst other players. But who knows? We could even be in a position to make a cheeky loan or permanent bid to bring Axel Disasi back from Chelsea. Look, whether we think these players are worth the amount of money that we value them at, West Ham clearly seem to think so. There's no denying that clubs are now having to consider making serious bids for any West Ham player this summer, or, as Kretinsky has pointed out, they stay at West Ham, ready for the challenge to bring the club back up to the Premier League at first attempt. There's also no denying that if David Sullivan was still in charge, I would imagine several low-ball bids may have already been made for our players, resulting in Sullivan doing what Sullivan has always done and accepting offers well below the true value that those players are worth. The window has been open for 3 days, and despite every story coming out that just about every single senior player at West Ham is about to leave, not one bid has been made for any of our players yet. I'm expecting it to happen, but now they've got to be serious bids rather than lowball. But I guess if David Sullivan was still in charge, it wouldn't have surprised me if Man United would have already made a bid of, say, 45 million for Fernandes and 25 million for Summerville. But that's not happening anymore. West Ham United are standing firm. And that, for me, is exactly how the football club should be operating. Let's not forget, if we make any profit from the sale of Fernandes, 15% of that profit goes straight to his old club, Southampton. So I'm sure the valuation of 85 million has factored that in. Look, for too long, West Ham have been viewed by many clubs, especially the bigger clubs, as a team that can be pressurised into accepting less than market value for our prized assets. A club that can be convinced that a quick sale is better than West Ham holding firm. A club that can be persuaded that player power, media speculation, and transfer gossip should dictate the final fee. But not this summer, and certainly not under the ownership of Daniel Kretinsky. And certainly not when the club finds itself in a position where selling is a choice rather than a necessity. Let's be honest, if Man United genuinely want Mateus Fernandes, then they know exactly what they need to do. They need to put up £85 million, or as near as damn it, on the table. If they genuinely want Summerville, then the asking price is, as near as damn it, 45 million. The figures are not hidden, the message is not complicated. Pay the valuation or move on. Now, some supporters will inevitably ask whether these valuations are realistic. My answer is simple. What's realistic in today's transfer market? You look at some of the transfers that have happened over the last few years. We've seen average Premier League footballers move for 40, 50, even 60 million pounds over the last few years. We've seen clubs pay astronomical sums for potential. We've seen teams spend fortunes of players who've achieved far less than Fernandes and Summerville. So why should West Ham United discount their assets? Why should West Ham help Man United solve their problems? And why should West Ham make life easier for one of the richest clubs in world football? The answer is quite simple. They shouldn't. If Man United decide that the prices are too high, then they look elsewhere. Then West Ham simply keep the players that they have. Man United have already moved away from the Nottingham Forest deal because the player there was valued. I've forgotten his name. I know he's part of the England squad, but the player there was valued more than what they wanted to pay. The same thing should happen at West Ham. And that's the beauty of this current situation. West Ham United are no longer being backed into a corner. We're not desperate. The club, hello, Sushi, the club is not scrambling around to try and balance the books by accepting whatever offer arrives first. Instead, West Ham United can afford to be patient. What do you think of that? Should we sell Summerville and Fernandes for less money than they're worth? No, I didn't think so. So West Ham can afford to be patient. And how refreshing is that? And patience is often the strongest position a football club can have during a transfer window. Now let's look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just about Mateus Fernandes and Crysencio Summerville. This is about the entire future of this football club. If West Ham receive anywhere near the £130 million valuation for both players, then the financial outlook changes dramatically. I'm not suggesting for a moment that we will get that much, but I think we'll get as near as damn it. Because if we get anywhere near that, it kind of changes everything for West Ham and the remainder of this transfer. It's only just open, but it changes everything for this transfer window. I'm also aware that we don't get all the money in one go. I know I'm not stupid. It's spread usually over 5 years, but the values will still appear in our balance books as income pending. But that money suddenly shifts the conversation away from debt concerns that we've keep hearing about, PSR concerns, debt concerns, cash flow crisis, and all of that. With that money, the club can start planning from a position of strength rather than a position of uncertainty. And that has a direct impact on the rest of the squad. I've said that means we could look at the likes of Jared Bowen, Thomas Soucek, Dinos, youngster Mohamedou Kante, and all the other players who have got real talent. And suddenly it becomes far easier to keep these players than to have to sell them. And that goes for any other player that Nuno views as essential to the rebuild that's going to happen this summer. We move from desperately needing money to every decision becoming football driven. How refreshing is that for West Ham United? Now look, let's ask the obvious question. Should West Ham United hold out for the highest possible bids? Absolutely. In fact, I would argue they've got a responsibility to do so. Every pound earned from a sale strengthens the football club. Every additional million improves flexibility in the market, and every increase in transfer income reduces pressure to sell other players. Look, there's no trophy awarded for selling players cheaply. There's no prize for being easy to negotiate with. The objective is simple: maximize the value. If another club want one of your best players, make them pay a premium. Every other club seems to do it. I guess that's what successful clubs do. So that is what an ambitious club has got to do. And West Ham United has gone from being a club that's looked desperate in the past to all of a sudden becoming ambitious. Okay, it's taken relegation to have done it, but we've got a starting point now and we know which way we want to head. And that's what West Ham should be doing. And if those bids don't arrive for these players, fine, keep them. It's really that simple. Now, I know people worry about unhappy players. I know some people worry about transfer speculation dragging on all summer. But let's not forget something important here. West Ham still have quality footballers under contract. If Fernandes and Summerville remain at the club, they both become a huge part of our promotion push. Keeping quality players is not a failure. Keeping quality players is often the best transfer business you can actually do. And imagine the statement it sends out to the rest of the championship. West Ham refusing to sell its prized assets. West Ham saying, we're not weakening this squad unless someone is paying a premium. That's the mentality supporters have wanted for years. Of course, there's another possibility. What if one sell happens but not the other? That could be a fantastic outcome as well. Let's say, for example, we sell Fernandes for a huge fee, but we keep Summerville. That's fine. Or the other way round, sell Summerville and keep Fernandes. The club still improves financially whilst retaining significant quality. You want to be fed, don't you? There are multiple routes to success this summer. Not every scenario requires both players to leave. And that brings us nicely onto what else could happen in this transfer window. I think we'll continue to see plenty of rumours. Man United are not the only club linked, certainly to Mateus Fernandes, but the other clubs include the likes of PSG, Real Madrid, big hitters in the marketplace. Agents are going to do what agents always do by trying to persuade all parties to allow an unhappy player to leave. They get their commission through player sales. They don't get anything if a player stays at a club. The media will create stories every single day. Some will be accurate, many won't be. But the key point is that West Ham now controls the narrative, now controls the situation. The club is setting the price, the club is setting the conditions. And if West Ham are determined if West Ham are determined to get back up to the Premier League, they're in a position to determine whether negotiations even begin. That's a powerful position to be in. And if the finances improve as expected, perhaps we even see other opportunities arising in the window later in this transfer window. There may be significant benefits to be made for West Ham to get players in who are going to help us drive that promotion push. Perhaps there's room for a surprise permanent addition. Why not go for Axel Disasi to become a realistic target yet again? Football changes quickly when clubs have got financial flexibility. What seems impossible in June can actually become achievable in August or September. Well, when does it close? It closes at the 1st of September. Ultimately, this transfer window should not be viewed through a lens of fear, as we have done in the past. Ultimately, this transfer window leaves West Ham fans optimistic. We shouldn't be worrying about who's going to leave. Supporters should be looking at the strength of West Ham's position. For the first time in a long time, the club appears willing to say no to low ball offers and willing not to be pressurized into selling their prized assets. And not to sell valuable assets below their worth means an awful lot. And that will encourage every West Ham supporter. Because whether Fernandes and Summerville leave or stay, the club wins if it sticks to its valuation. Either West Ham receive transformational money that significantly improves the financial situation, or West Ham keep two talented footballers at the club who can help drive the team forward. It's a win-win scenario. The coming weeks are going to tell us whether the likes of Man United or any other club are prepared to test West Ham's resolve. But one thing's already clear. The days of accepting cut price offers appear to be over. West Ham have drawn the line in the sand. The valuations have been set. The message has been delivered. Man United, put up or shut up.